Hi, this is Mike Fauché, and with the addition of several new cloud storage options in UniFi Drive, today's video I want to go over using Wasabi Cloud as a destination for your backups. As Wasabi is an easy, low-cost storage solution based on AWS, but without the cost and complications, it becomes a viable solution for your cloud backups. If you want to find out more about this, then watch the rest of this video. And as always, please don't forget to like and subscribe, as it really does help support the channel. As UniFi continues to roll out updates to their NAS devices and to the UniFi Drive software, more and more features get added. As they committed to do earlier this year, they've now added support for more cloud services, such as AWS, Backblaze B2, and Wasabi in versions 3.26 and later. In today's video, we'll see how easy it is to set up Wasabi Cloud as integrated into your backup strategy. The first step is to go to wasabi.com and set up your account. They offer a free 30-day trial so you can test out the service for free without any commitments. For clarification, Wasabi didn't sponsor this video in any way. I've just been a customer of theirs for many years and really like the service. Once you sign up and create your account, you'll be taken to the admin screen. As I already have the account, I'll just sign in so we can walk through how to create users and buckets to store our information. First, you'll want to create a user that'll be dedicated to your UNAS device or any other device for that matter that you plan on backing up to the cloud. This isn't 100% required, as you can reuse a user for multiple things, but it's considered to be best practice to isolate a user to a device. Click on Create a Username, leave the API keys checked, and for this purpose, we're not going to use MFA, as this is a dedicated backup. Click Next, and as you may have multiple devices using different accounts, you may optionally create a group to better organize your accounts. But again, this isn't mandatory. If you do, just give it a name and assign the user to the group that you just created. Click Next, and let's assign this user some permissions. As this is for backup devices, I'm going to again assign Wasabi full access, but I could technically assign either just read or write or read and write access, depending on your specific needs. For this application, I'm going to just go ahead and assign full access and click on Create User. The next part is critical because if you close this dialog box, you won't be able to see the keys anymore, and you'll have to delete and create a new user. Here you have two choices. The first is to copy the keys to the clipboard and add them to an encrypted note application for future reference or wherever you store your keys. And the second is to download the key file as a CSV so that you can save it in an encrypted location for later use in the event that you need to use it again. For purposes of this video, I'm going to download the keys in a CSV file so we can later see how to paste them in the UniFi Drive software when we set up the backup. Once you've downloaded the keys, you can close a dialog box and you should see your new user. Before we complete with the Wasabi interface, there's one other thing that you should do, and that's to create a bucket. Think of a bucket as a container for your data. This is a location where UniFi will use and back up your data. This step can be done later as you're setting up your backup within the UniFi Drive software. I just prefer to do it while I'm in the Wasabi screen. If you choose to create your bucket directly from Wasabi, click on New Bucket, give it a name, select the region closest to you, and click Next. On the next screen, you can optionally enable bucket versioning, but for backups, I'm going to leave it disabled. Click Next and optionally enable logging, and for the option to set replication, I would not enable it as it will use up more cloud storage. Click Next and continue. Lastly, you can enable tagging, which I don't use at all, and click Next when you're done. On this last screen, you can review your bucket configuration and hit Create when you've got everything set correctly, and you should now see the bucket listed that you just created. Assuming you've downloaded your keys, you can now close the Wasabi screen, and your setup here is pretty much completed. Now that we've created our user account for the UNAS and created our bucket, we're now ready to create our first backup. Clicking on Backups from the main dashboard of your UNAS Pro, let's create our backup to Wasabi. Click on Create Task and give it a name. Remember that when you're using Wasabi or AWS, you will not be able to change that name once the backup task is created. So make sure you're happy with the name before you complete. Next, let's select the data that you want to back up. As a side note, remember you have a max of 1 terabyte on the cloud storage, so pick only the irreplaceable data. Check all the folders that you want to back up to the cloud and hit select when you're done. In the next section, select Wasabi and select the closest region to you. This will determine the server node that you'll be connected to. The closer the server, the better the performance. In the next 2 entries, you'll copy the access key and the secret key that you saved when you created a user in Wasabi. Looking at the contents of the CSV that we downloaded, you can see access key and secret key, which we'll copy in the appropriate section. Click on Verify, and assuming that everything was copied correctly, you'll receive the message Server Connected. In the next section is where you'll select the bucket you created in the Wasabi dashboard. If you opted not to create the bucket directly from Wasabi, you can click the plus sign and create a new one from here. Leave the default folder update and customize the schedule the way that you want. For my case, I'm going to use it twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m., but select whatever works for you, as you're not charged for access, only the total amount of storage. Click on Create Task and pick the option of just creating the task or create the task and run the backup. Once you're done, if you selected the option to back up now, it will start the backup. Keep in mind that your initial backup can take quite a bit of time to populate the cloud depending on how much data you have, as well as the speed of your connection. Here's a couple of tips that I did to get the first backup completed, as the initial upload will slow things down quite a bit and consume most of your internet bandwidth. First, if you're running the UniFi network controller, I would recommend setting a bandwidth limit on the device, at least until the initial transfer is completed. In my case, I have a 1 gig download, but my upload is only 40 megs. So I set a bandwidth to about 15 megs a second on this device. Assuming you're using the UniFi controller, you can do this by going to the Settings, Policy Engine, and select Objects. Create a new object, find the device, and select it. Select QoS, and go to the download and upload limits that you want to set. The important one is the upload limit. This is completely optional, and you can disable it once your initial upload is finished. Mine took almost 2.5 days to complete, and without a bandwidth limit, it would have caused some issues with other devices around the house. Of course, once you finish the initial upload, all the updates are typically pretty quick and are done through the middle of the night. Another way to do this, if you can't or don't want to set a limit, is to manually pause it. For example, you could pause it first thing in the morning so it doesn't run during the day, and restart it late at night when no one needs the internet. Again, this is only done for the initial upload. Currently, I use my UNAS Pro as the center of my storage needs. Some active projects, editing, and certain other types of things that I do are stored on a faster SSD NVMe, which I then back up to the UNAS Pro. I also back up my UNAS Pro to other devices in addition to the Wasabi. If you want to see a more detailed review of my backup strategy, let me know in the comments and I'll do a dedicated video on the topic. But for purposes of this video, we're just covering Wasabi. Anyway, that's about it for this video. Please support the channel by hitting like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.